What is the influence of the US in Pakistani politics, and how can we avoid them making political decisions?
Well, I think there is. Let's start by saying that there should not be the influence of any foreign country, America or anyone else, on our policies, on any of our policies. So that should be a basic principle of any government who respects its sovereignty and so on. Unfortunately, it is true that there is a lot of US influence on what happens in Pakistan. This stems, to try and understand it, it stems from their perception of their national security interests. And that's why they're involved. They feel that their security is threatened by what may or may not be happening inside Pakistan. That having been said, it's the job of any government to be able to discuss with the US, for instance, what these perceived security threats are, what they perceive these threats to be, and then attempt to diffuse those threats in a way that satisfies the US, because as a superpower, you cannot ignore them, you cannot tell them we don't care and we won't do anything. They need to be respected and their concerns need to be addressed. I don't think we should go as far as inviting them in and giving them bases where they basically set up their own operations, as seems to have happened.
Jacobabad has been taken over and been deprived for flood relief work.
So that sort of thing should not happen. No self-respecting government would allow any foreign country to come in and set up a base or run its own operations from its territory. Certainly our neighbor would never allow something like this. And so it's sad that we have. But like I said, if Mustaqbal comes to a position of power, certainly we will ask that these installations be removed in a structured, organized manner that does not threaten US interests. We are not, as a government, we don't want Pakistan to be perceived as a threat to anyone's security. So when we ask that these facilities be vacated, for instance, we will ensure that these concerns of threats to their security are addressed in a way that is satisfactory for them. So that has to do with their involvement and the extent of it. It seems that it's quite a bit, and it shouldn't be. Now the other question is, what was the other question? Can you repeat that for me?
How can you avoid their...
I think a good way to avoid it is actually to have a good government in place. A government that actually controls its territory properly. The problem is that our government has no control over its territory. Or over anything really. And we can see this absence of government everywhere. You see it in civil services, in social services, everywhere, healthcare, the education system, everything is collapsing around us, municipal facilities. There, Pakistan is almost like a state without a government. Now when that happens, if foreign countries perceive that threats are originating from us, they do not see the government as a reliable partner to try and address those threats. So that's it. If you get a good government in power, you can take control of your own territory. You can ensure that threats or that this perception of threat is not right or is not valid. And that's the only way ultimately to establish your own sovereignty, is to actually have sovereignty. Our problem is that we don't have sovereignty. If the government is not there, there's no sovereignty. It's just a myth. So anyone can come in and exercise a bit of influence on you, and you give in and you say, okay, come and do it yourself because we can't do it.
Is it also a myth or is it a reality that the US has always been concerned and been involved in the kind of government that gets put into place in Pakistan?
I don't know. The honest answer to that is I don't know. I think the US, things changed a lot after 9/11. And their concern in the region shifted. So you can look at it as two periods, a period before 9/11 in terms of what their interest was, and a period after 9/11. Now, perhaps in the period prior to 9/11, again at that time they had their interests also. There was the Soviet invasion, the then Soviet Union, Afghanistan. So again there was an agenda, and they had a certain interest in supporting the dictatorship at that time. And so unfortunately for Pakistan, events in the region, really in Afghanistan, have dictated American policy towards us. And generally American policy is one of encouraging democratic rule and democratic values, and that is always good for us. When they deviate away from that policy for reasons that they think pertain to their national security, then that is when it becomes bad for us and ultimately bad for them. Because what happens then is that public opinion also switches away from them, and they start to antagonize common public. And I think that's happened a lot today. You see a lot of antagonism. You see, they are not Pakistanis. Common Pakistanis now don't consider America to be a friend, and that's sad. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. So that's something one has to address also, and see how one can do that. But again, all these things, all these issues require that you have good people in power.